I need you to let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt. Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those stripes and take a step.
Creed 3. We know what this is at this point. We saw the first Creed film. We saw the second Creed film. We saw all the Rocky movies. And it's all the same. It's predictable. You know what's going to happen here.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
So the thing that intrigued me the most was that Michael B. Jordan was directing this. And I wanted to see what he was going to do. And I commend Michael B. Jordan for his craftsmanship in this film because he nailed it. He is definitely working behind the scenes. You can tell that he was paying attention to Ryan Coogler and many other directors he worked with, most likely.
There's not a lot of actor directors, especially ones that have directed themselves. So like the Bradley Coopers, the Ben Afflecks, the Denzel Washingtons, like those are guys that I tapped into, like, hey man, like, what's some advice? You know what I'm saying? And they would tell me, Jon Favreau, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, the Mandalorian and all that, like he's fucking fantastic. So they've been just dropping these little gems of, you say, hey man, sometimes you want to feel guilty because you might be in a scene and you know you're there, but you might be thinking about that, like, you know what I'm saying? Or you might, you know what I'm saying? Your mind might wander.
The interesting thing to me is that we really don't follow Creed in this movie. We mostly follow his rival or / his best friend, Jonathan Majors' character, Dame. I want to say that this movie kind of mirrors Rocky 3 in a way with the Clubber Lang character, because Jonathan Majors, Dame, kind of reminds me of Clubber Lang, where it's like, you know, he's this struggling boxer and he wants a shot and he's very eager to get it and he'll do whatever is necessary to get there.
Nobody can beat me. You tell him what I said. He's next. I'm gonna get him. Nobody can stop me. You tell that boy that. I'm coming after him. You tell him.
But it really focuses on Dame to where he, even though he's the nemesis here, he's Creed's best friend, and so it's like there's this dilemma where it's like I was kind of rooting for Dame, but then all this shady stuff you see him do, you're just kind of like, man, I don't know, man, I'm rooting for you, but this is kind of iffy though. So that was clever. I thought that was really, really, really clever, really neat. I'd say that this is the most story-driven Creed film next to the first Creed movie, where I feel like the first one, you know, it's mostly about Adonis and, you know, him rising the ranks and meeting Rocky and Rocky going through his thing. And then the second one, you know, you got Drago going through his thing, which was interesting, but they don't dive deep into that. And, you know, I feel like there's a lot more boxing in the second one. Whereas in the third film, there's more dialogue than boxing. And to some that may seem kind of boring, because there was a certain point in the film where I was like, where's the boxing at? Well, you know, because there's a lot going on here. But I was invested in the story as well as the actors' performances. The only negative thing I can say is that there was this one moment in the film where it kind of took a WWE route a little bit, where, you know, like if you were watching WWE during the pandemic, they were doing these things where they were pre-taping these matches and they would do like these gimmicky matches and everything. And so there's one point in this film where they do like this gimmicky thing, and it made sense. I understood it because it makes, you know, the moment seem more personal, because it is like, I felt that, but at the same time, just like, this is a little goofy and silly. I kind of don't like it, even though I understand it. I just didn't need it in what's supposed to feel like a sports film, because it was feeling like a legitimate sports film, like they were doing Showtime presentations and everything. I was like, this is what I want to see. And then when they did this gimmicky WWE thing, I was just like, it kind of just threw me off, and I didn't like it all that much.
What do you think of him being trained by Apollo Creed?
Apollo who? Knock, knock. Who's there? Bobby. Bobby who? Exactly.
It's a very good movie. I enjoy it. I think Creed is a very solid trilogy within the Rocky series, and I'm glad that within this movie they cemented that this is a Creed movie, because in the previous two, you know, Rocky's always there, and I understand that these are characters created by Sylvester Stallone, but it feels so satisfying to watch a Creed film where the entire, well, not the entire focus, but it's mostly about Creed, you know, and his story, you know, in connection with Dame. And so I really enjoyed that. It is a solid trilogy, and yeah, all three of these movies are fantastic. They're all good, and Creed 3, solid entry within this series. So yeah, there that is.